The last video I made was how I installed the radials in the truck on my M923. This video is when you get this stuff off of eBay. Sometimes the seller will take for granted that it's operational. Sometimes they will say that it's not operational. And the reason I say that is because I had a cable that had a short in it, and I hooked it up to this 1780 amplifier right here, and it blew a resistor, and it probably did more damage in it than I would anticipate. The result was I'd already got the back off. If you look up close, right there, you can see a burnt resistor right there. So whenever you receive these things in the mail, always open them up, like this one opens up in the back, and do a sniff check. Just smell, because if anything electrical in there burnt, you're going to smell it. And then physically look to see if there's any loose wires right here, like at these connections right here. Solder, make sure that your circuit boards are tight. No loose mounting screws. Turn it upside down and shake it. Make sure no hardware falls out of it. And just do a visual and a smell check on these things. Okay? But this was operational when I got it. The first thing I did is open it up and make sure there's no corrosion. I looked at all the solder points, make sure they were all nice and tight. Use a magnifying glass when you do that. Take these screws off if you could remove a circuit board without electrically disconnecting it. Turn it over and look at the conditions of the components on there. Look at the transistors, make sure they're not leaking, because some of them are electrolyte type stuff, like a battery, and they'll leak, and Motorola is good for that. So just do a visual inspection on it. Like I say, your smell check. As soon as you open up the cover, smell in there, and then you'll know right away if anything was burnt or not. Even if a wire was burnt, that smell of insulation burning and stuff stays in there forever. Then you just make sure that all the knobs work, so on and so forth. Now, when you have to electrically check the cables and the wires and stuff on these type of connections, what we call Cannon plugs, you have female ends, you have male ends, just like this one is. Okay? On the male ends, you'll see a keyway. You can see that keyway right there. The pins and these line up. Okay? But anyway, what I was going to say is that the keyway mark, that's where A pin, 99.9% of the time always starts. Your A pin is always on top, and it's always at the keyway. If you have a face that you can't see the numbers or the letters, most of the time they're going to be letters, and then if there's more than 25 pins, and then they'll start using numbers. Okay, now how do we check these cables? Well, you need two items. Okay, you'll need some kind of a multimeter. Let me zoom out here. Okay, and if your leads already have alligator clips on them, those are good. If you have the type of multimeter that just has a straight jack on it, like this one does, and those kind of leads, then you need alligator clips, and you just clip one on one end. This battery is dead in this one, so I have to go to my backup meter. These alligator clips are pretty good size in itself, so I got a smaller jumper wire with smaller clips on it, as you can see right there. Okay, and another thing you'll need is a tech manual for the radials that you're installing. Most of the tech manuals will have wire schematics in them, and they also have wire schematics for the type of cable you'll be using for your installation. It's very important that you have this because you need to ohm out your cables and make sure that they're manufactured properly or there's no defects in them. But these schematics, they tell you a lot. If you look at this one this particular one right here, you can see these are just little unfilled circles, okay? And you have like an inverted V that goes to like an arrowhead, okay? What this tells me is that this cable has one end of it has a female connection, and this here is a male connection with pins. An example of a female connection would be like it'd be on this this amplifier box, and this here would be a female connection that would be on the end of the wire, okay? But that just tells you that it's a female connection. And then when you have the arrowheads right there, it has pins like that, okay? Also, what this tells me, okay, let's go to the cable that I'm actually got to ohm out, the one that I received in the mail, which would be this one right here, okay? Both ends are the same. If you look at this connection here, pin A goes to pin A, and if you go down here, you can see that they all go from one side to the other. B matches B, K matches K. So it's basically a straight shot from one pin to another. And what this also tells me is that I have, you see these 4 circles, okay? These tell me that these are shielded cables. And a shielded cable looks just like this. These 4 right here are your shielded cables, okay? What shielded cables do, they carry your voice, and what this outer shield does, it absorbs any interference from any impedance from any other electrical source, static electricity, radio frequencies from the air, from other radios. All that gets absorbed into this shield. And if you look at the schematic here, let me stop moving the paper around so you don't get seasick. You can see that they're all soldered together, just the outside of the shield, not the wire inside, just the shield itself. That's what this dotted line means, is that they're all mechanically connected or soldered, and they all go to pin A, okay? So this tells me that pin A is ground. And if I would go to that box I just showed you and did an electrical continuity check, you would find out that A is ground to the chassis. So, and to see if that does true, I further took this box apart, and that circuit board that I showed you earlier, it can only focus so close. Okay. So I took that circuit board out, and this is the inside of it. And what we're going to do is see if A pin is ground to the case. So what I do is with my alligator clips, I take, and I happen to have dentist picks. See, right here. And these what I could go into inside of the female connectors and ohm these out. But we find pin A, and pin A, we have to find that keyway. Okay, here, the keyway is right here. So pin A is, this right here is pin A, where that stick is. So, as you can see, A is ground. See, when I touch it right to the side, right there. So, A is ground. And then A on this one should be ground. And then A on this other one should be ground. Okay, so all the pin A's are ground. So to ohm out a cable, what I always do, I go to pin A, put the alligator clip on pin A just like that. Okay, so this is out of the picture. Then I go to the other connector. Okay. Then I take my lead and I find pin A, which is this one right there. Okay. And you can tell that makes good connections. Okay, but you don't stop there. What you do, you go to pin A, which is that pin right there. Okay. Then you go to all the other pins. Okay, there's pin A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. And then you touch every other pin. You want to touch all the pins. And you can just sweep them across. You don't have to sit there and physically do that. I just run them across. Just like so. Just do a quick sweep to make sure you have no shorts between these wires. Okay? Because in our schematic, no other pin hooks to pin A. Okay? So when wire A checks out good, I got good continuity, and it's not shorting against another wire, then I go to this connector again and move my alligator clip to pin B. Okay? Then I find pin B on this one. Which is that one right there. And I go around the clock. I don't have to touch pin A because I already know that pin A and pin B never shorted together. So you don't have to go backwards. Just keep going around the clock, and they keep going around the inner ones. Okay? And touch the connector. Okay? And make sure it's not shorting around against the connector. And there's pin B again. So pin B checked out good. Then I go to C on this. Okay. There's pin C. And there's pin C on this one. So then I just work around the clock again. Now if you had a short, I'll short two of these out. I'll grab the alligator clips with two pins. There, now I got two pins connected here, as you can tell. And I'm going to short out, it looks like A and M. Let's see here. Okay. Here I shorted out J. And it looks like, I can't see, I don't have a magnifying glass. It looks like V or U right here. So you can tell I got 2 pins that have connection. So that's what a short would look like. And you don't want that. If the schematic doesn't show those 2 pins connected together, if you have continuity, that means you have a short in your wire. And a short in a wire resulted in what you've seen in my amplifier. Because I had one of these cables that was claimed new old stock. Yeah, right. And but what happened in these type of connectors right here, the wire twisted. If you just take this Canon plug, this connector right here, and just twist it like this and keep this stationary, the way these things are electrically connected in there is electrical nightmare. Okay, and how these things keep from shorting out, I don't know. But if you ever took one of these apart, you would say, how in the world are you going to put that back together again? But it had a short inside here, and that short resulted in burning up my amplifier. So I had to turn that in and get it fixed. So you want so whenever you get your equipment, do a physically check on the cables, ohm them out, just like I showed you. Get the proper tech manual, and it will give you this wiring schematic for the cables and how they're wired on the inside. And ohm them out to make sure that that's what, you know, that's the proper cable you have, and that it was manufactured correctly. Because so far I found 2 bad cables in the cables that I ordered on eBay or any other vendor, not just eBay. Okay. And they, you know, they don't check this stuff. You know, they got thousands of cables that they buy at auction. And, you know, they just physically eyeball it and they say, well, this is a good cable, this is new cable, you know. A lot of the times that you'll get new cables even in the military, which I experienced from the manufacturers, and they even have shorts built into them. So on really high-tech equipment, you have to, you know, it's a mandate that you ohm out the wires. So I hope this enlightens on everybody on you just can't take for granted what you order.